What's going on? It's Darryl Syms, and today we're going to be talking about how you can solo and improvise over a bass line that you create. So essentially you're going to create a bass line and solo over that at the same time. This teaches so many cool things. It teaches you how to stay in groove. I feel like when you play with a backing track, it kind of takes away a lot of the groove because you're kind of just relying on the backing track completely to do that for you, and all you have to do is throw a bunch of notes in there. Whereas when you play on your own, when you create the bass line and you play along to that, you are completely in control of the groove and the dynamics, and that's what I want to encourage from you. Anyone can do this. You don't need to be a theory master. Just use the knowledge that you know to do as much as you can. So even if you just know the pentatonic scale and some basic chord shapes, that's all you need to know. So let's begin by keeping it real simple, and we're going to stick in C minor. We're going to try and stick to the pentatonic scale to begin with. I'm going to wing a bass line right now, so let's start on the root, obviously. And then minor third, fourth, and then minor seven. Nice and easy. Sounds groovy. So that's a nice start to what we're gonna create together. Now the first thing that we're gonna do to solo over that is just choose one note between each of those bass notes. And we're just gonna improvise that. So we're gonna do the same thing. And then we're gonna go. So we're keeping it to the most simplest of levels right now. Now let's expand on that and add two notes between these bass notes. So this should start to get cool now. So there you go, nice and easy so far. I'm not really doing much phrasing, I'm really just picking two notes and trying to make the best of those notes. So maybe with just a bend or a slide. So real simple phrasing, but nothing too over the top. So there we go, hopefully pretty easy for you to do so far. You can have great fun with that by just making the most of two notes. We don't need to be super fancy. We just need a couple notes, and we need those notes to be played well. Just take note that all of these notes are just set in the pentatonic scale, so hopefully they should be very familiar with you. And also pay attention to the bass line that I've chosen because it's got a slight swing to it. It's not quite on the beat. We've got 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. So it's on the and after the 2 and the 4. Obviously this is just an example, so if you really want to, you can just play the notes on the beat, but I think just that little adjustment makes it sound a little bit cooler. Then the next stage on from this would be to maybe add another note, but at this point you don't need 3 notes in every single phrase that you do. You can have some with 1 note, some with 3, maybe even some with 4 or 5. Heck, who cares? As long as it stays melodic and you're making the most of the small amount of notes that you can fit in between those bass notes. So let's give you one more example. So hopefully in that demonstration you could kind of see that it really is up to you to sculpt this. There is really no right and wrong. It's just throw yourself into it and have fun. You can play notes on the beat, off the beat, you can add a swing, you can really do what you want, and the bass notes don't even have to be on the designated beats that we started with. So if you remember, we had the 1 and then the and after 2 and then 3 and then the and after 4. But if you're slightly late on one of those beats, then so what? It kind of adds some cool groove to it. So that's pretty much all I want to share with you. The purpose of this video is just to inspire you to be able to play with yourself. Your guitar, of course. So I'm going to do one more example for you, and as I said at the beginning of the lesson, this is in the style of John Mayer, so I'm going to try and reproduce something that he did on Instagram recently. It's in the same key, same sort of style. It just has a little bit more of a Dorian feel to it, but it really demonstrates the potential that you can achieve with this idea. probably noticed that was quite sloppy, but you know what? That's totally fine, and I encourage you to do the same because it just shows that you're trying to push hard and push your potential. So to conclude, the general moral of this video is just to have fun and play along with your own bass lines. Start simple by choosing just one note and then add another note, and then try and make the most of those two notes, and then from there you can just build it into whatever you want to build it into. So that's the end of the video. I hope you took something away from this. If you would like to download some tabs, some kind of example ideas for this, then check out my Patreon page where you can download just that, and I'll maybe try and transcribe some of the phrases that I did. Thanks for staying tuned. Make sure you like the video, and if you're new here, then maybe you want to consider subscribing because I do stuff like this all the time. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.